Hey, what's going on, fellow trade geniuses? This is Philip with Trade Genius, and wanted to go over a few charts and kind of take a look at what's setting up for the week. So on ES, notice we have kind of a top here at 24.50, and we actually did take a short in this area yesterday. Worked out pretty well. We got about plus $27 per contract on the binaries on a very quick trade, about 20 minutes long. That's gonna way I'm seeing it now, this is probably going to come down to this 24.24 area, and if that breaks, I'm looking at this 24.17 area, and if that breaks, which if you notice in here, we've got basically kind of like a volume void, and so this area here to this area here, this whole thing is basically from here to here to here to here. All that space in here is just a volume void. So if we break this 24.25, you really could just go all the way down to 2400 and retest that. Now if that starts to give way, we're going to grind all through this area here, where it's just going to be a grind through here because there's a lot of volume that's accumulated in through here. So I don't expect a fast drop through here. In fact, we'd probably see it bounce off of 2400, and that would be probably an extreme case to the downside at this point. I do think there's still more upside overall, but you got to keep in mind there's a lot of geopolitical things going on, and it just seems like the ES is just bucking anything in the world right now. You've got Russia being aggressive with what's going on in Syria. You've got North Korea. Last we heard they're warming up around their nuclear site, so maybe there's a test there, and there's some tension there with the death of that American that came home. So there's a lot of tension geopolitically. So there, as you can see here, ES just about 20 points off the future highs. So and that happened in pretty short order. So things can move quickly, but want to just keep in mind these levels: 24.25, 24.16, and 2400. Okay, so that being said, we're looking at probably a swing long, and it's going to be somewhere in this area. If we can get it off of 24.25, that's probably ideal, but we'll tweet that out on a binary. We'll either do a spread or we'll do a end of day swing on that one. All right, let's take a look at gold. Gold, I think, is setting up for support here. Now, the thing with gold is we're hitting this trend line here that kind of been holding this downtrend. So if we can break above that, I think we can get up to this 1250 area pretty quickly. If the ES sells off tomorrow, I could see that happening. So we may have a setup for gold on the binaries as well, swing trade. Beyond that, I think this ends up correlating with the dollar. If the dollar hits 98, 99 area, I think that probably would be it for the dollar on the upside, which would make a bottom in gold probably a little bit more believable, because it does have some retracement to do here. So, but I think we got a little bit of a bounce here. I think if we break that trend line, we're going to 1250 here. Let's take a look at oil. Oil has just been beaten down, but again, things are getting pretty overdone. Now you can see where we got kind of this downtrend, and you can see you really have like a channel here. So my belief is that this is going to bounce, and we're probably going to get at least to 45, and we also have some volume resistance zones here, 45.50. If we clear that, definitely going to 47.70 area. I think that's definitely doable. So that's kind of what we're looking at here, but definitely looking for a bounce here, and we'll be looking at a swing entry on the binaries for that. We're going to see how the report goes in the morning for oil. Also wanted to point out oil, we caught a really nice short on one of our setups here. If we go to the 15, I'll zoom in here a little bit. So right in here on this drop here, we took that short in there and closed it down here. So that took us maybe 20 minutes, and we ended up closing out for about 33, I think it was, per contract. Real short trade. That was a nice setup, and we're doing that during the week on the binaries. Okay, so that kind of takes care of the kind of the gold, oil, futures outlook. The indices, or I mean the forex, we'll get into that in a little bit here. Why don't we switch screens over and we'll take a look at some of the kind of the swing ranges on the various instruments. Okay, on the forex side of things, looking at our areas that we want to probably take a swing on, e.g. If we get up to this 88.50 area, probably be looking at that. And then we'll start taking a look at our probabilities at that point. So the dollar, you know, this 98 area, I think ultimately we do see that, but maybe not till next week. And I think once we do achieve that, I think we're going to probably see that'll be a good time for a longer term position on going long gold. Pound took a beating. The Bank of England statements from last night kind of did a number on it overnight. So it is, we tried to get long earlier, but didn't get to our level quite that we wanted. What are we doing here? Let's get to this. So basically we'd be looking at the 2580, 2560 area. So I do think we see one more leg down and an opportunity to get swing long there, and we'll signal that out via the binaries. USD CHF's going to be probably nothing soon on that. Odd JPY, we'll keep an eye on that, but I think, and the odd USD I think also may set up soon. So on that we'd be looking at this 75. We'd probably be looking somewhere in the 75.20. And on our daily binaries, you know, we got like 20 pip strikes to choose from. So maybe the 75.40 area may work out. We'll run the numbers on that if it gets down another leg, which I think it will. I think it does roll over down there. So it's kind of on the menu this week. CAD, we did take a position on CAD, but this move didn't really follow through. Kind of got to this level and bounced up. So what we're looking at on our wider channel, I think if this thing breaks through this resistance here, which it's looking like it's wanting to, I'm actually kind of surprised, because oil, if oil was down some, you know, this move would make a little bit more sense, but oil's holding, and so I kind of was expecting it to, if anything, kind of hold this level here. But so it could run to this 3300 level. If it gets up above here, we'll probably look at swinging a short on that. All right, so that's our forex look. Take a look at our our commodities. And so corn looks like we were going to bounce long along with soy, kind of the same story there. Oil, we put a nice head and shoulders here, kind of mid channel, so it's gonna, we look at next challenge will be getting above this median line here and then poking above, and then getting up above 44.50 would be the next task. I think if the oil report's bullish, I think oil's going to run for a bit, but I don't see really anything extreme here to fade in the next 24 hours, except possibly if corn and soy actually we may take a swing on here. So we'll tweet that out later if need be. All right, let's take a look at VIX. And as you know, we look at VIX because it affects binary options. And we've got basically, we're down here at 1086. This is actually, if you're able to do stock options, I like off of this level. I think anywhere from this 10 area on up to 12, 13, I think is good opportunities for bouncing. So VXX calls we're in, and I think there's some room to run up here through tomorrow. But beyond that, any opportunities above 13 are few and far between, as you can see, and they don't last very long. So that being said, if we do, we could easily do one of these moves. I think you could wake up and see this. So that's just kind of the market situation. But until then, I think there's money to be made in this range here. But I'd rather stay just long, because short, I don't want to be exposed to any of these events here. I'd rather have this event happen and then take a shot with a put at that point. But really depends on what's going on with the market and the world at that point. The other thing we like to look at is our VIX compared to our other. These are our different. These are the different currency VIX indices. So we like to see them kind of grouped together. What we don't want is when we have a situation where VIX is below them, because what you have is higher volatility on those, and what happens is premiums, for example, Nadex premiums on Forex won't be in line, and so it doesn't make for a lot of good opportunities. I like to have them grouped together. Ideally, they group together above 13. 13 is kind of like the magic line in the sand for having good Nadex premiums, so more opportunities are above that. Below that, you have to be a little bit more picky, and opportunities are a little bit are less. But that's okay. We still, we're still doing pretty well on our in the money, high probability trades. We haven't had a loser on those since March on those signals. So we just have to be a little bit more patient when we're down in these levels. So that's our review on VIX. All right, let's take a look at. I wanted to show you the yield curve relative to the ES futures. Okay, so we had a divergence here. So this line here is the yield curve, and it's just been flattening steady for weeks, which for a rising stock market doesn't bode well. Bond market, they always know. And one thing I like to look at is when we have negative divergences. So for example, ES ran up, and yesterday we were looking at this and yield curve, again diverging. Now before this had happened, I said, watch out, because we could do one of these numbers. Whenever I see a large divergence like this happen, and the number of days that it continues to happen, the larger the correction. So this one we had 2.5 days of pretty decent divergent action going on, and sure enough we rolled over. So it's one of the things we look at. If it's a red flag to have. Now sometimes we get a divergence. Sometimes nothing really happens, or bonds end up ticking up, but a lot of times, more often than not, when you get a divergence, you're going to see, especially when it gets real steep like that, you're going to see a correction back toward bonds. So that's what we saw. Now they're kind of in tune with each other, heading down. So we'll see what happens over the next 48 hours, and we'll be looking at those levels mentioned earlier in the program. But I wanted to point that out, that was kind of raising a red flag, and we had posted that in the room to be on our toes as far as that's concerned. All right, let's take a look at some of the swing areas we have coming up on the stock indices in the futures. Okay, so we'll be keying in on this 27 level, 24.27 on the ES. I think, like I said, if that coincides with some of the other levels that we look in the Globex session that we look to fade, I think that'll set up for a nice long. So we'll see how that pans out. Let's look at the Qs. I think Qs have been moving quite a bit in this range. I don't see any reason why we don't come back down and test this 56.73 level. We do need to. This was a area here, this 56 or 57.2650 area. That I was looking for support. As you can see, it was kind of holding it here, and then it broke. So this area here broke, and I think that was key. Now that becomes resistance, but I think at this point we're looking at that down to this 56.73 area. I think that's totally doable. So let's looking at the Qs. Let's look at IWM in lieu of the Russell futures, and I think this is going to go the way of the Qs. I think we could probably see this down. When we get down to 138, I'd be looking to swing long on that. So that's about it for the Nadex stuff as far as commodities, futures, and Forex. Let's take a look at our cryptocurrency setups and see what's going on there. Okay, so start with the big boy, Bitcoin. We recommended everybody to get long if they were looking to add, or just to get long in this 24 to 2500 area. So as you can see, it has moved up nicely from there. Was looking at 2700 being the next battle line, if you will, but that just smoked right through. And I think what's happening is that Bitcoin, I think the market's starting to grasp that this SegWit issue, and if you don't know what that is, segregated witness, so that's kind of like been the point of contention with Bitcoin as far as the new upgrade path for it. And so some people were saying, or there was a fear that you could have like a chain split, which means that if the Bitcoin community couldn't decide, you'd have two groups of consensus, so to speak, and one would go off with their coin and another group go off with their coin. But that really doesn't benefit anybody, really doesn't benefit the miners who stand to lose the most. And so within the last few days, they've been committing to getting on board with the segregated witness software upgrade path. So it really looks like that's going to be a non-issue. And I think yesterday, a bunch of the Chinese players, as far as the exchanges and as far as the miners, went ahead and had a meeting and basically said, yeah, we're going to proceed with committing to SegWit. So I don't really see a chain split happening, and I think what we've seen, this just blasted through 2700. Now we're pulling back to 2700, and then we have a fib buy zone here in this area. So just kind of the normal pullback with Bitcoin. We get large moves, and that's just perfectly normal. I mean, you can see what happens here. But if you pull back, I mean, this is all really within just the normal operating parameters of Bitcoin's price movement. It's just what it does, and it's just nature of the beast of this thing. And you have to keep in mind the supply is limited. So if you got an influx of areas, like you have Asia coming into it, you're gonna have these big moves, and then people are gonna take profit. But there's a high demand for it, and that's not gonna stop. You're not putting the Bitcoin genie back in the bottle at this point. So I think, and once SegWit matures, that's going to speed up transaction times, and that's going to speed up or make other payment, micro payments are going to be more feasible to do with it. So we'll see how that progresses. But I think as far as that's concerned, I think this whole move here, everybody concerned about the SegWit issue, that really started. I think that was the basis of that move. And so it pulled back to a nice fib buy area and bounced off of that. And now the bulls are back in control. This is more than retraced the 50% of that move. So now we've got a nice uptrend going here. So basically what we're seeing here is this is going to probably go back to attack 3,000 soon. And this thing can move a couple $100 in 24 hours. So we could see that tomorrow, or it might be later in the week. But at this point, 33,000 retest is definitely in the cards. So that's what we'll be looking at in Bitcoin. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum basically is consolidating in this range here, and right now we're between a bull and a bear fib zone. And so basically for the bulls to get in control, we're going to want to see it break above this 365 level. And if we see that, then we should be probably making our way back to test the all-time highs. This was the channel, kind of like the slope of the channel. We poked above and we poked below, but we're kind of staying within that channel. This channel's been running for a while. So as you can see, that's kind of the kind of the trajectory of the trend here. And so anyway, I expect, as I said earlier, I think, I fully expect us to be up and down this channel all through the month of June, and so far we're looking like that, and looking like it's ready to just make its way up, back up to this area here. But it will need to, test will be there at the 418 level, give or take, and yeah, the high there was 420 actually. So 420 will be the, see if that double tops or it continues higher. I think just the way that the cryptocurrencies are moving right now, it is going to ultimately go higher. Okay, the third crypto we like to look at is Litecoin. Now, Litecoin's been around since 2011. It was like the little brother to Bitcoin before Ethereum kind of stole the show. It already has enabled SegWit, and so its processing times are faster, and it's being accepted in Asia. So I think what Litecoin ultimately ends up doing in the whole crypto space has yet to be seen, but it's addressed a lot of the issues that are still being resolved elsewhere in the crypto space. I think ultimately what ends up happening is it becomes another store of value, but it might be the bronze to the Ethereum silver and Bitcoin gold of the crypto space. But right now, I think the challenge with Litecoin will be, I think it consolidates here. I think ultimately it's going to break out of this consolidation, and I think 50 is going to fail. And I think we're gonna move past that. It could see an Ethereum type move. If we go back to Ethereum, look back to where Ethereum was. I mean, if you look back to where Ethereum was, here's 50. This is back in April. Okay, so this is about 2 months. 2 months we went from the 50 level to 400. And Litecoin, that's, don't know if we'll see a replication of that move, but it certainly has definitely room to run to like say 100. So we could be looking at an easy double here. And I think just with the something to keep in mind, Asia has just picked up on Litecoin. They started, a couple places started accepting it. So I think people may look at this as a more economical store of value to get into and look to accumulate it. And it's also, it's gaining traction, and Asia is going to be a driver on that. So that's kind of where we're seeing that go. So that's basically the outlook right now as far as cryptos go. In our room, we're calling out buy points and points where you might want to take profit. We're also dealing with loaning and things like that. So if you guys are interested in that, check out our binary and crypto room. I think you'll really like what we're doing in there, and I think once you see what you can do with crypto, I think you're going to really be satisfied with the returns that you can get on it. And the reason why that's such a nice market to trade is because it's not manipulated. So it really respects a lot of technical. It's a great technically or a great technical instrument to trade. And so a lot of happy folks in the crypto room with their crypto holdings. Everybody's way up from the last couple of months. And we talk about what to hold, what not to hold. There's a lot of opportunities that you can take advantage of in that space. So we discussed that quite a bit in that room. Anyway, that's the wrap up for this week so far. I'll probably do another update tomorrow, and look forward to sending out some more updates and trade signals for our binary subscribers. Guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Lots of video updates through the week. And until next time, happy trading. Thanks for watching. Bye.